to my audience, primarily cryptocurrency, in specific Hex and PulseChain folks, and they would not forgive me if I didn't ask you about cryptocurrency. So I guess what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency, either as a way to improve sovereignty from runaway inflation, currencies to earn passive income, digital economy, and so on, all the different ideals out there with decentralized finance and cryptocurrency? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think cryptocurrency is a solution to transactions between people where we can avoid the intrusions of a third party. It's isomorphic with free trade and free speech. What is free speech really? Free speech is just this idea that you and I can have a conversation and no one else needs to get involved. No one else has a right to come along and say, you can't say that. You know, you two there having that conversation. No, stop. You're not allowed to say that, and you're not allowed to hear that. That's a violation of free speech. That's all that we're saying with free speech quite often. Okay, that no third party should be able to intrude upon our conversation. Okay, so that's one thing. Of course, it's broader than that. I know it moves into, you know, what can be shown on movies and censorship and, you know, whether or not people should have plans to nuclear weapons. Okay, modulo all of that. What we're saying here is that you and I should be able to have a conversation without a third party coming along. All right. So when it comes to moving that kind of idea into the commercial arena, into transactions, into you and I, me providing a service and you wanting to purchase my service, you creating a product and me wanting to purchase your product. Why should a third party over here, usually it's the government, or anyone else come along and say, hey, you two, you've just created that thing. I see that you've baked a cake there and Max wants to buy a slice of your cake. Well, I want to have a slice as well. And I'm not going to pay you anything for it. I'm just taking your slice. And by the way, I'm going to watch what you're doing. I'm going to watch how many slices are going to be, you know, taken and transmitted between you two. Okay, I'm watching over you. Okay, this is a bizarre situation for society to have come to. You know, we don't expect that to happen with speech. Why should it? I think it's just a straight line between speech to transactions. Rather than us exchanging ideas in the form of words, we're now exchanging ideas in the form of products, in forms of physical things. You know, here's my cup. This is an idea that someone has before it's a physical object. Why does the idea now instantiated as a physical object now become the business of some third party? I don't think that it is. Of course, culturally, everyone is taught that, yeah, of course it's the business of a third party. Of course there needs to be this government entity over here who's going to tax and watch, observe what is going on between us two. And so therefore we need this whole edifice of finance and of traditional currencies that can be watched by the authorities. Cryptocurrency is, so far as I can tell, the first solution to this, where in theory it should be impossible for the third party to intervene in our transaction, our private transaction that's got nothing to do with anyone else. Now, everyone gets worried about this. Oh, what are you up to? What are you up to that you need to have this private transaction? I'm not up to anything. In the same way that you and I are having a chat, I'm just concerned that someone else out there is going to decide that what I'm saying to you cannot be said because they've got different values to me. Okay, fine. They've got different values. They shouldn't have to listen to me. In the same way, they might decide that, oh no, cups shouldn't have this shape. I should have a regulation. This is what the EU does, right? The EU decides that they're going to make regulations on size of cups, types of engines, everything else. So I would rather that these people sitting in committees not have not only the ability and law to do this thing, to intervene, but the ability in principle to even do this thing, even the practical capacity to do this thing. So I see cryptocurrency as a way of guarding against third-party intrusions into the free consensual exchange of ideas in the form of physical stuff and services. Because physical stuff is an idea. What you're exchanging is ideas. You're exchanging intellectual property. You know, you talk about an iPhone. The value of an iPhone is not in the fact that, you know, the value of an iPhone is not in the metals that make it up. It's not in the rare earth materials and stuff. It's in the ideas. It's the relationships between the circuits and all that kind of thing. That's where the real value is. And so when we're talking about, you know, cryptocurrencies, what we're talking about is a means by which I can pay you for your good idea. That good idea might very well be literally an idea, like, you know, sort of a book of some kind. but it can also be a bit of technology, someone's idea that, you know, I'm going to give to you and you're going to give to me, or whatever the heck else it's going to be, that it should just be between you and I to exchange. Now, of course, this is a far distant, dreamlike future that I'm imagining, but I think we have to state our ideals in order for them to become reality. I'm not yet. Okay, I think in theory the ideal is you have this anarcho-capitalist ideal, but we're not there yet. I don't think we know how to organize a society in a reasonable way in order to ensure that people aren't going to just devolve into, you know, violent tribes and that kind of thing. A lot of people would say, well, the government is a violent tribe. They're just the biggest tribe that's out there. Well, okay, you can have that argument. We're so far away from that right now anyway. You know, we're moving in the direction more and more, it seems, as more regulation, more collectivism, more socialism anyway. So that argument about whether or not we have perfect capitalism and a minimalist government or anarcho-capitalism is too far off. What we should be focused on now is reducing regulations. What we should be focused on now is ways in which we can extricate ourselves from the very strong hold that government authorities have over every aspect of our lives. And if we can do that in just one little way, in the financial system with cryptocurrency, more power to the cryptocurrency people, more power to them figuring out ways that we can make the system more robust. So that's my view on cryptocurrency. It's a natural human outworking of our desire to exchange things between each other, and us being able to collaborate and cooperate without other people getting involved and saying you can't do that, or I want a piece of that, I want a slice of that, I am owed a slice of that, I deserve a slice of that. You know, that's no, you're not. No, you're not. If you and I want to exchange ideas, if you and I want to exchange money, if you and I exchange anything at all, that's on us. Reasonable people can do that. It's the unreasonable, as Ayn Rand would say, brutes of the world who want to come along and say, hey, you two, I'm part of that now. You know, all of us have an interest in what you two are up to. Not necessarily. Okay, I think there are certain situations where you and I can do stuff, and it's not the business of anyone else.
Very well said. Yeah, I definitely been an important part of my life, and the ideals that I would valuable in privacy and a free exchange, and a lot of stuff you covered there just over the last 5 or 6 years. So it's gonna be amazing to see where it goes in the 2020s, and it's like this continuing meme. Oh, we're so early, and you know, sometimes I wish we weren't so early. Sometimes I wish we were a little bit further in certain areas, but I think we'll get there as long as the spirit of free people still exists. And like you said, we find our way around restrictions or people trying to, you know, hey, I want to be a part of this transaction. We can invent ways out of these things and around people trying to oppress us. And I think crypto gives us a great opportunity to do that.
Precisely. And it's the thing that is at the moment one of those few areas that are kind of resisting this supranational tendency that governments have around the world of outsourcing their own authority, powerful as it is, to even larger conglomerates of mega corporations and governments, World Economic Forum, that kind of thing, United Nations, that kind of thing, these global agreements where you don't even have the capacity to democratically vote these people out, becoming more and more controlling of certain things. So if there can be these grassroots ways of providing opportunities for the individual to hold on to some of their freedom, their capacity to interact with one another via cryptocurrency is just one, via free speech more generally, then more power to those people who are doing that sort of work, because we are up against the movement at the other extent, at the other end, where people who think they've got the idea for how to make the whole world a better place. Okay, their intentions, you kind of think their intentions are good. I don't think anyone's out to exterminate people. Modulo, there's people, are degrowth people who kind of think that we should be moving in reverse when it comes to population. But overall, you have these people who want to save the world, which is always a bad impulse. They have good intentions, but it's the wrong thing. And so you've got to resist that. And one way of resisting that is to focus on the individual and on individual sovereignty, as you say. And this is just one mode of that, just one kind of that.
As Naval says, there's people who want to fix everything in the world, and there's people who just want to be left alone. That quote speaks to me so much. So good.
Yes.